I think this is a first for the House of Guerlain, and it's a crowd favorite. And so I'm really happy to dive into this fragrance with you guys. And I know you've heard a lot of people's take on it, but a lot of people really want to hear what I have to say about it. So grab your beverage and let's go on that ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Without further ado, let's talk about a fragrance from the House of Guerlain. This is L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum, courtesy of Scent Decant. I love Scent Decant. Why? Because a lot of times I can get my shipping for free. Almost every purchase, I get 15 to 30% off of every single item that I drag into the cart. And number 3, they put atomizers on their 1 and 2 ml bottles, which you want to be able to do with a fragrance because you want to be able to spray it on. Oftentimes, if you put the fragrance just on the test strip, you're not going to get a true reading of the fragrance. So 2 mLs is like, I don't know, maybe like 10 sprays or less. So that allows you to, pump it a couple times on the test strip, maybe get 1 or 2 tests on the test strip, and then go for maybe a 1-day wearing experience. So I absolutely love that. The discount, the shipping, the Addy, and it's just a really great place to bundle up when you're going to buy a lot of samples. Now, I don't know much about the House of Guerlain other than that it's been around for a while. And so I don't know what to anticipate with this fragrance. I don't even recall what people say about this fragrance. I know it's apparently good, but as far as the scent DNA, I have no recollection of what the note profile was. But whoa, now I do. Up in the air, man. What do I get? I kind of get. It seemed powdery at first, but now in the air it feels more fresh. This is a kind of classical gentleman, about 30%. 70% I get this overly sweet, slightly boozy, almost like a distinct note of it's a fruit. Cherry. It's got this almost pungent cherry, but it's kind of dialed down to be more airy and fresh cherry. It's somewhere in the middle of synthetic and real. Because it's airy and crisp, it doesn't feel overly synthetic like a dark cherry and amber from Banana Republic. Feels a little bit fresher, a little bit realer than that type of cherry. Almost has a little nuttiness under it. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think this is the cherry almond blend. We'll see here in a second. But yeah, it's almost like 70-80% dominantly kind of this cherry, nutty, slightly the tiniest bit powdery, fresh, out in the air, airy fragrance. But it has it's a gentleman take on the cherry DNA for sure. Like it's meant to feel like upscaled cherry. And so I do like that as a contrast. As you guys know, I think as you get older in life, you need fragrances that are more than just sweet. If you're going with a dominantly sweet fragrance, the beauty of it is always what's going on in the background, not just the sweetness itself. That's the easy sell. But the tough sell is what other elements and notes are you going to use in the background to kind of dress up that sweet to go a particular direction and give it dimension to match whatever the vibe is. It could be gentlemanly, it could be complex, it could be unique, it could be ultra fresh. But yeah, so that's my opening thoughts on the fragrance. It smells pretty dang good. Let's go ahead and check out the window here to see what is in this fragrance. It looks like a tag team here on the perfumery as far as who made it. Up top, we have almond, spices, lavender, bergamot, rosemary, and thyme. I get rosemary and thyme for sure. I definitely get the lavender. That might be where we get some of the powderiness from. Almond and spices for sure. It's not the most spicy, so don't think Spice Bomb Extreme spicy. It's about half of that, but it definitely is there. In the mid, we have cherry and vanilla. Vanilla is not very distinct, but it adds to the sweetness, but the sweetness is very light. I would call it, on the sweetness meter, maybe about a 5 or a 6 out of 10, but the vanilla is not distinct in that. It just adds to the sweetness of the cherry. This is distinctly cherry. Incense, I can't really smell smokiness or incense, but this fragrance feels very gentlemanly. So I think that's why is probably the smokiness from the incense, even though I don't quite detect it. I definitely get like a classy vibe in the DNA that I just can't quite recognize from a note standpoint. Rose might be contributing to that cherry not feeling as synthetic, but I don't get a distinct note of rose. And in the base, we've got leather, tonka bean, and sandalwood. So I think here the star players, the two lead roles in the supporting role here is definitely going to go to incense and leather. I think those two combos definitely come through on the fragrance. Even though it's only 20-30% of the fragrance, I think that backbone is what stops this from feeling like a Banana Republic fragrance and feeling a little bit more upscale. That rosemary, I think the rosemary thyme combo, I think is also being slept on, because I think that aspect of it is freshening up the cherry vanilla to feel more hyper real as far as the note of fruit that you get out of it. Definitely a solid fragrance. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Let's just go to the usual suspects here. I'm going to say overall I give this about somewhere between an 8 and a 9. If you're a fruit lover, this is easily a 9. Specifically cherry, obviously, because there's so many different fruits, right? And you don't love all of them equally. Let me scratch that. If you're a cherry lover, this is a 9 out of 10 fragrance. It's got signature, it's got class, it's got contrast. If you're not the biggest fan of overly fruit-based fragrances that are a singular fruit note forward, it would be average or above average, 8 out of 10 for sure. It definitely doesn't feel average. But for a fruit fragrance, there's not a lot behind the cherry almond vibe other than just a little bit of aromatic class. Usual suspects for information, I think because it's so light and airy, I tend to believe that on the hot weather, cold weather scale, if this sat in the middle, it would lean a little bit towards cold weather dominant as far as where it could be best worn. Age range, I honestly feel like it's fresh enough to really go ageless. Teenager to grown man, this could definitely rock. This is really a personality piece, I think, where you're into a certain type of fragrance like sweet or cherry. You bust this out because it's got that classy edge that not a lot of fruit fragrances will have, because most fruit fragrances are either sitting dominantly on woods or sitting dominantly on kind of these spicy sandalwood, tonka bean undertones. I'm thinking stuff along Angel Share, 1 Million Lucky, all that type of stuff. Or they're mixed with other fruits, fruit basket type fragrances. And so, yeah, I think this fragrance is one that you can ramp up the sprays on. I'm imagining on the light side 5, on the heavy side 10 to 12 even, because again, it is light. So I think the more you spray just affects the longevity, not necessarily the DNA. Occasions. I think this could easily rock for a signature bust out once in a while date night fragrance. Definitely isn't casual, even though it's playful in its note of cherry. I think it's somewhere between upscale casual and semi-formal, mostly in the date night or night out type of vibe. This would also be a great fragrance to kind of experiment. We found a pairing that I'll talk about on a later video in more detail, which was I combined dark cherry and amber from Banana Republic with Mahir Legacy Black. I also tried it with Bentley's Absolute, which is incense and dry wood, but Mahir Legacy Black is a little more smokier with the incense, a little more incensey, and that pairing right there, Mahir Legacy Black and Banana Republic's Dark Cherry and Amber, was like, it instantly made me want to wear that combo, because I can't quite see myself wearing Dark Cherry and Amber, even though it smells good in the air, and then Mahir Legacy Black, even though it's a nice kind of upscale Middle Eastern hookah lounge type of vibe, it's just a little too Nag Champa incensey for me to wear completely dolo. So putting that combo together reignited some interest in me to now have a use case for both of those fragrances. So again, sometimes I don't always buy a fragrance just to wear it. Sometimes I'm willing to roll the dice on a fragrance that might have such a singular DNA that it just pairs well with other fragrances. So for instance, my Bentley Absolute pairs really well with Eros if you want to darken it up and not quite have a Jean-Paul Gaultier vibe. But nonetheless, this is a great fragrance. I don't think you really need an alternative for this. I think you can get 100 ml for about $40-50. So I think it's definitely worth the price point. However, there is a nice alternative in, I think it's called... Do I have it? I think it's called L'Homme Supreme from Fragrance World. Let me look. L'Homme Supreme Yeah, here we go. Supreme Loam from Fragrance World goes for 18 to 20 bucks on a clone of this fragrance, and I actually just got it in about a day ago. It is extremely close. The background of the fragrance isn't as dense, but I think the fragrance is so linear that you don't really even notice the lack of density when you ramp up the sprays. The complexity is there enough. I would call that fragrance maybe a 9 out of 10 solid 9. So that's all the information I have for this fragrance. I definitely think if you want to have like a star fruit note, you know, because a lot of times when we get fragrances like Bulgari Tigar and a lot of stuff like that, you're getting like a bunch of citruses on woods, like primarily lemon lime dominant or bergamot dominant or fruit medley basket type vibes. This is nice as a star singular fruit note to completely change the DNA of a fragrance. And I think overall the DNA of cherry almond is a good pairing, and it's different. There's no other pairing that I feel like fruit and nutty that kind of has the same effect as that. And so for that, I think either one is going to be good. The original or the clone. You're not quite far off with the clone. Especially, again, if you're an absolute cherry lover, get the original for 40, 50 bucks, call it a day. But if it's just like going to be a nice style piece for once in a while, you can totally get Supreme L'Homme Extreme Eau de Parfum from Fragrance World from just about anywhere, including Amazon. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you have this fragrance. Specifically, I know I'm going to beat a dead horse here, but if you have this fragrance or have smelled it, where do you wear this? What is the occasion that you have for a fragrance like this? And let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the feedback on it or want to just provide some additional clarity or feedback in the comments section. Again, I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can hear about all the great content we've got cranking out of the channel. We've had a lot of new subscribers lately, in the hundreds, so that's been really dope. Make sure you check out the other things I have going on, including the lives I do several times a week, the community chat page where I post discount codes and various deals and pickups I'm getting for the week, scent of the days, let you into my personal life a little bit, and then we do all the various long form and short form content on the main channel, including the shorts. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed week. This was L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. Was this the extreme? No, this was standard L'Homme Ideal. Yeah, L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum from Guerlain. The clone was L'Homme Supreme, which I believe was cloning the extreme version of this, which is just more potent. But I have done a comparison. It is this exact same DNA, whether it's extreme or not. In fact, I think the fact that Fragrance World's clone says extreme is more true to actually Ideal Eau de Parfum than L'Homme Ideal Extreme, which will be much denser if you even want to go there. So this is the scent bubble. Y'all be easy. Until next time. Peace.